article from ABC News. 51 protesters arrested after officer in Floyd death was released. They were arrested during protest after a former Minneapolis police officer charged in the death of Floyd was released on bail. Derek Chauvin had been in custody in Minneapolis prison as he awaits a March trial on charges of murder and other counts. He was released Wednesday after posting a $1 million bond. He had been held in state prison instead of local jail for security reasons. On Wednesday evening, about 300 people marched peacefully near the site where Minneapolis police tried to arrest Floyd while he was twacked out on meth and fentanyl on May 25th for allegedly passing a counterfeit $20 bill at a convenience store. Floyd died after Chauvin, who is white, they have to make sure they tell you that the cop was white, as if the race made any difference, pressed his knee against Floyd's neck for several minutes, even after the handcuffed black man pleaded for air, which is garbage fake news, because he said he couldn't breathe before he even ended up on the ground. The dude was like coming back from COVID. He had tested positive for COVID and he's twacked out on meth. He'd been banging meth and fentanyl. He's an IV drug addict. He also did home invasion robberies. He robbed some mom and her kid while the kid was there, held him hostage at a house. Not a good dude in any way, shape, or form. Officer Chauvin worked at a bar with him prior, and they didn't get along. So they had a previous history of working with each other. He knows this guy's on drugs. So they obviously left all of this background story out. They just want to say, oh no, it's just a white cop and he just killed a black dude because that's just what white cops do, right? No. It's like a third of the deaths are killings by police are of black people, which are 1/6 of the population. So they're saying, oh, well, we got double the rate. But they're leaving out the part that there's about 20,000 homicides in the U.S. per year. Half of them are committed by African Americans. 54% of the victims are black. There's 10,000 of them getting murdered by other black people per year. And there was 14 unarmed black people that were killed in 2019. Half of them were trying to attack the cop. So we got 7 unarmed black people killed who weren't trying to attack the cops last year. Then we have 10,000 deaths or murders committed by African Americans. That dwarfs the 7 people. There's 20,000 gun accidents, deaths in the United States every year. You explain to me how the 7 unarmed African Americans who weren't trying to attack the cops, who the cops killed, are not also included in the accidental gun death. They are. No cop is going to work that day saying, oh, I'm going to get me a black dude. I'm going to bag him. I'm going to put my knee on his neck. Get a picture. It's no, dude. Having to kill somebody is every cop's worst nightmare. That's not what they want to do. They want to go home and go be with their family. The last thing they want to do is be staying at work late at night because they killed somebody. That's not what they're out there to do. If that happens, it's an accident. You don't like it? Get all the criminals to stop using guns in their crimes, and then they'll get rid of the guns. But the problem is, we live in America where there's a lot of guns, and the cops have to have guns. When they have guns, you're going to have accidents. It's not the cop's fault. The vast majority of people who get killed by cops are armed and dangerous. They have guns, they have knives, or some other crazy thing, or they're in a car and they're, they sometimes the cop will drive head on into them to stop them from killing some other people. Sometimes they give their lives in the process of this. And that needs to be respected. We can argue about whether or not drugs should be legal, but if we don't have the votes, we don't have the votes to legalize drugs, and you have to put up with prohibition. It's a democracy. Sometimes in a democracy, you don't get what you want. You don't always get what you want. Sometimes you get a bunch of bullshit. So that what you got to do is you got to take the hand you're given and you got to work with that hand. You can't just be disrespectful to people. You can't like go into a workplace and say, you better give me a job. Doesn't work that way. You have to ask, you have to be polite. And if people think that you're an aggressive asshole, you don't get the job. If you want a cop to treat you good, all you have to do is just be a normal person and not be aggressive. Just be polite and they'll respond and be polite to you. If they have to bust you for something, it's just their job. But definitely shouldn't be hating them for stuff that is the war on drugs' fault. It's the war on drugs that's causing so many police interactions. And it's the number of police interactions that causes the number of deaths to go up, because on X percentage of those police interactions, there's a gun accident. It happens. Sometimes people will like flip out and try to steal the cop's gun. It happens. It's not the cop's fault that the criminal tried to take their gun from them and they had to kill them like they did Mike Brown. The hands up, don't shoot guy in Ferguson, Missouri, that was all bullshit. They just want mob justice. They're just pissed off because they think one of in their tribe got killed. So they want to get retribution. They want to take it out on other people. And they just think, oh, all these business owners, they just got insurance, so we can just loot them. It's like, wow. And all this over fake news. On Wednesday evening, about 300 people marched peacefully near the site where Minneapolis police tried to arrest. Oh, sorry, I already read that. Among the protesters was Gabrielle Black Elk, whose brother Paul Castaway was killed by police in Denver in July 2015. Elk told the Star Tribune he came to show his support for Floyd's family. Quote, I'm out here as a family member too to show my support, to say today shouldn't have happened. He shouldn't have stayed in there. And quote, the Black Elk, an organizer of Native Lives Matter, quote, it's tiring for us justice families to see the cops getting away with this murder. It's just too much. It's just too much to see it happen again and again. And yeah, there's a couple of these incidences that are just tragic, like that Tamir Rice kid. And then there was another boy who was shot. He wasn't killed. He was like 13. He was a white kid. He was autistic. I forget what his name was, but he was shot by a cop, unloaded a clip in him because he was running away. His mom called the cops because he was like misbehaving. And then the cops showed up and then the boy took off running and then the cops shot him. So, okay, right? That's a gun accident. That's called a gun accident. It was just something that, like, do you really think that the cop that killed Tamir Rice wanted to kill Tamir Rice? No. You don't need to riot and burn down the city to stop that. It's every cop's worst nightmare that happens. But what we can do is we can peacefully protest. There's nothing wrong with that. In fact, actually, it'll make you look really good. You don't actually have to riot and burn down the city in order to actually make political change. In fact, that actually hurts your case. I'm actually a supporter of police reform and of ending the war on drugs. But then whenever you start saying this is all cops and that it's a systemic problem and that white cops are killing unarmed black people, that's where I'm crossing, I'm diverting my path and going the other way. I'm no longer part of your movement. I'm now against you because you've made up a narrative that in reality, it's the problems with the crime in the big cities that is causing this. If people weren't selling drugs, partying, having sex all the time, and they were in school and they weren't back talking to teachers, none of this would be happening. But we have a bunch of people that are acting aggressive. They're doing drugs. They're robbing people. They're beating people up. They're stealing. They're killing. They're torturing people in some instances. They're raping. There's a lot of bad stuff that's going on. And tell a rape victim, you tell any woman that we need to defund the police and get rid of them so that when she's raped, she can't call the police. Go tell her that. Obviously, she's not going to want that. She's going to want to, when she is raped, she's going to want to go to the police. So when you defund the police, they have to prioritize which people they serve, and they have to prioritize the violent crime. So when you defund the police, the women, when they are raped, they can no longer go to the police. And they got all kinds of white feminists out at these Democrat race riots, rioting and then what these people are supporting actually ends up hurting women, because women also too are victims of crime. People rob women, they beat them up, they rape them. There's a lot of bad people out there. So it's just strange, bedfella. It's like they're on a spectrum of different beliefs here. But they've kind of just allowed the crowd to just do whatever they want. They don't have a message. There's no like end goal. We don't know, okay, where are they going? The end goal here is we're just trying to reform local police laws, right? Because it's not the federal cops that are killing people. It's the people in the big cities. So it's the state laws and the city laws, not the federal laws. Okay. But instead, what they're out doing is they're out rioting against Trump. It's all just a veiled attack on Donald Trump so that they can get Joe Biden in office, so that Kamala Harris can run the show. Anything else? Later Wednesday, tensions rose outside a Minneapolis police station as law enforcement moved in, ordered a crowd to disperse. Live feed from Unicorn Riot showed several people being ordered to the ground in preparation for arrest. Police spokesman John Eller said 49 of the arrests were for misdemeanors. Many of them were cited for unlawful assembly. One person was arrested for fourth-degree assault. Another was arrested for a felony warrant